tell you about the last conversation that I ever had with my Mormon father. I'm thinking about this morning because I'm out here on a walk in 108 degrees in Tucson, Arizona. It is fiery, and I'm no longer Mormon. I can dress appropriately for the weather with a little tank top and some shorty shorts. Last time I ever saw my father-in-law, my husband and I had been separated for about 3 years off and had just decided to work things out and move back in together. We were living in separate states at the time, and I decided to just go home to my parents' house in Portland, Oregon, and kind of figure out what to do from there. I took my son with me. He was 8 at the time. My in-laws, I think it was my father-in-law, some of my sister-in-laws, one of my brother-in-laws, nieces and nephews, called and asked if me and Brody wanted to go hike part of the Pacific Crest Trail for the afternoon. It was July. It was extremely hot. We all met at the trailhead. Everybody else was wearing their garments with t-shirts and modest shorts. And I showed up in a tank top and short shorts, kind of similar to what I have on today. You guys, I am going through one of the most difficult times of my life that I have ever been through. By the end of it, I would try to unalive myself. Literally just 6 months after this hike, I had found out that my husband of 22 years had been cheating on me. My in-laws all knew about this. We had also talked as a couple with them about the abuse that had been going on, how Jake was trying to get help for some of his problems. I mean, just in general, they knew that I was going through really hard things. My father-in-law doesn't really talk to me the whole entire hike. We finally get to the waterfall, sit down, open our backpacks, pull out our picnic lunches, sits down on a rock right next to me, says, "Do you mind if I ask you a personal question?" I said, "Sure." Let's call him Steve. "Sure, Steve. Ask away." Here's this personal question that he was dying to ask a woman in crisis in front of her child on a hike with the entire family, sitting by a waterfall, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and carrot sticks. He says, "This whole entire hike, I've just been wondering where your garments are." I don't remember exactly how I replied to that, but I mean, something like, "It's hot. I just decided to wear a tank top." This man had an actual tear in one of his eyes as he bore his testimony to me of the gospel, and specifically of his testimony of the Mormon garments and their power to protect people in difficult times. He reminded me that I was under oath in the Mormon temple to wear my garments night and day. He ended it by telling me that he was especially uncomfortable with my immodesty on a hike with my brother-in-law. This whole conversation, by the way, was happening with my little 8-year-old on a rock right over here munching on his peanut butter sandwich, hearing the whole thing. Then just a couple months, I would catch his amazing Mormon return missionary son picking up the last in a string of escorts. This one happened to be 19. I have never heard from any of my in-laws since the day my marriage ended because I'm not good enough for them anymore. I'm not Mormon. I dress like this with cleavage and knees and shoulders hanging out everywhere. Also helped one of my nephews quit his mission. It's been 6 years since the last time this amazing man who has this glorious testimony of the Mormon garments has contacted any of his grandchildren, any of them. A few months back, just to make sure that I hadn't missed anything, I asked my 15-year-old son, I said, "Have you heard from Grandpa Steve anytime recently?" My son turns to me, he goes, "Grandpa Steve is still alive?" I had no idea. I thought he died years ago. Conclusion. If you're the type of a person who puts policies before people, only underwear is more important to you than caring for your grandchildren, you are not one of the good guys.